All right, welcome everyone to the October 18th, 2023 Environmental Quality Commission meeting. This is an in-person and virtual meeting with the EQC members, city staff, and members of the public. And I want to thank Rebecca Lucky, our sustainability manager, for her years of service with the city. Tonight is her last EQC meeting with us. Rebecca, you've had a huge impact, and I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to work closely with you over the last year and a half, and we wish you the best in your new role. Thank you. Yes, we can apply. So moving on to item B, which is roll call. I'd like to introduce the staff and EQC members present. So for commissioners, we have myself, Chair Headley, Vice Chair Schmidt, and Commissioners Kissel, Lynn, McKenna, and Feligre Yopart. Absent is Commissioner Evans. And staff present include Rebecca Lucky, Sustainability Manager and Assistant, and Management Analyst to Ori Paz and Liz Tapia. Ms. Lucky, would you please provide instructions to the commission and members of the public on how the meeting will proceed?
Sure. Thank you, Chair Headley, and thank you, commissioners, for your nice send-off tonight. I appreciate that. And welcome everybody who's attending remotely. We don't have anybody in person at the moment in the room. So for those who are attending remotely, if you'd like to provide public comment on an item on the agenda or an item that's not on the agenda, you can do that at the beginning. You can use the raise hand feature that's usually at the bottom of the Zoom screen or next to your name. If you're on a landline, you could press *9 to raise your virtual hand, and then I'll be able to unmute you. You'll be able to address the commission for up to 3 minutes on each public or each agenda item. And that concludes the instructions, and I return the meeting back to you, Chair Headley.
Thank you. All right. Let's see. Rebecca, do you just want to call for public comments?
Sure.
I need to say.
Sure. If there are any members of the public who would like to make comment on an item that is not on the agenda, you may use the raised hand feature at the bottom of the screen or next to your name, and I'll be able to unmute your microphone. Okay, I do not see any hands raised at this time. Returning the meeting back to you, Chair Headley.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Lucky. So moving on to item D, regular business. D1 is to approve the September 20th, 2023 EQC meeting minutes. Do we have any clarifying questions from the commission before taking public comment? All right, hearing none. Ms. Lucky, shall we check for
Thank you.
Comment?
At this time, if there's any members who are attending this meeting remotely, if you'd like to make public comment on approving the September Environmental Quality Commission meeting minutes, you can use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the screen or next to your name, and I'll be able to unmute your microphone and you'll be able to address the commission for up to 3 minutes.
All right. Carrying on?
Yes.
Okay. So this item is now open for discussion. If we need to have any, or we can move straight to a motion if the minutes limit. Thank you.
A second.
Okay, so we have a first from Commissioner McKenna and a second from Commissioner Kissel.
All those in favor?
Aye. Okay, the motion passes unanimously with those present. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Okay, D2 is to review and discuss the CAP strategy goal number 5 to eliminate fossil fuels from municipal operations. And I believe we have a presentation from city staff.
Yes, we do. So Management Analyst Ori Paz will be giving us the presentation. Ori.
Thank you. I'm just yes, just getting up the slides here, and then we can go ahead and get started. So again, thank you, Chair Headley, for introducing this item. So we're continuing with the breakdowns of each CAP item to update the scope for the 2025 to 2030 time period. So here we should, there we go. So you should be seeing these slides full screen on your end. Someone could just flag me. Okay, I see a thumbs up, so thank you. So this evening we'll go over the existing goal and the timeline, as well as an overview of this specific strategy number 5 of the Climate Action Plan. We'll take a quick look at some of the available data that we have, or the progress that we've been making over the past couple of years, as well as the policy background and some of the things that are interacting to assist us in our efforts. And then we'll do a quick touch on some of the incentives that we've been pursuing and that we're looking into. And then I think the majority of the time will be spent during the discussion segment of this item, which again, we'll be focusing on looking at ideas for the 2025 to 2030 scope of work. So without further ado, I will actually take a step back and just kind of restate that this is part of the ongoing series of items that we've been bringing to the commission to look at the scope of work between 2025 and 2030 for the Climate Action Plan. And again, we'll be looking to take a final recommendation to the commission, and then ultimately we'll proceed through to City Council once we've taken and compiled the information that we've gotten from the commission, and then looked into the items that were raised throughout each of the meetings on each of these main 6 CAP items. So with that, we can zero in on CAP strategy number 5. So CAP number 5, as we affectionately call it, is the goal to eliminate the use of fossil fuel from municipal operations. So this is an area where it's within city operations that we're looking at. And so it's an opportunity for the city to show leadership in decarbonization of our fleet and our facilities. And it's also a way to test equipment and practices, understand the impacts, and then again, showing leadership in the community, and that we're all in this together, and we're moving as quickly as we can in the areas that we have influence. So how we're tracking it is we're looking at our facility emissions, primarily natural gas usage for the buildings, and then fleet electrification. And so we do track the amount of fuel that we use on an annual basis, as well as the miles traveled by vehicles. And then there is an extensive process for vehicle replacement. So we look at all of those things related to maintenance as well within our fleet division. So you can see, oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that on the screen is the our donut from the 2019 greenhouse gas emission inventory. And you can see that the largest emissions category is from our facilities, and the largest portion of that is from community pool heating for the Burgess Aquatic Center, second by the vehicle fleet. And that's why fleet and facilities have been the primary focus of the updated progress report that went in 2021. And our CAP focus for CAP 5 has been to try to electrify fleet and facilities to take out those major emissions and improve the air quality in the community. And it's been touch and go. So this is between 2016 and 2019. We don't need to get into this data too much. We're currently in a holding pattern. We will be looking to do another greenhouse gas inventory, but probably not, certainly not before the end of this year. And we'll need to evaluate when that comes. We're currently still in a not quite normal post-COVID standard, but the data seems to be leveling out, and so we will have some data to compare to these standards in the coming years. But we can dial into the 2020 and 2021 scope. So again, this is taken from the 2021 progress report, which updated the Climate Action Plan focus, went to the City Council in October of 2021. And the main focus that was identified was to use current resources and budget to eliminate fossil fuel use and build the new Menlo Park Community Campus. Also looking at replacing fossil fuel appliances and assets at the end of their life with non-fossil fuel options, unless infeasible, and then pilot a program to transition landscaping equipment from gas to electric. So how have we been doing on that? I think one of our greatest accomplishments is the teamwork that we have demonstrated and the capacity building that we've been doing with our community development partners, our community services department partners, our public works and police department partners. And so a lot of the work that we've been doing over the past few years has been to work with our partners in other departments and divisions. And a lot of the things that are going to need to happen along the timeline for this goal are things that are going to live in other departments. And so working together has really been an important and rewarding part of this goal. As it relates to the Menlo Park Community Campus, I did want to note that is under a naming process right now. And so through the development of it has been called the MPCC, or Menlo Park Community Campus. But that name will change as that process concludes. But it has been designed and is nearing completion of construction. It will be fully electric, should be open in 2024. And by all accounts is a beautiful building and a great example of what can be done as far as both all electric development, both for the pool and for the building. And then there's also going to be 27 EV chargers and a microgrid powered by solar carports, and so that will add to the resilience for that facility as well. As we look at replacing assets, we have replaced 9 of the 15 gas water heaters within city facilities with heat pump water heaters. That's a total value of approximately $110,000. And we were able to participate in a program to get all of those installed at no cost to the city. And so we'll be looking at the remaining water heaters and trying to continue to identify those opportunities to electrify and mitigate the costs through programs and other incentives. And then I don't have it on here, but we have continued to purchase electric vehicles. And so just this year, we were approved for another 12 electric vehicles and modifications to our vehicle purchasing to account for some of the variations that we've seen with the EV manufacturers as compared to the way it was ordering vehicles, 5 years ago before supply chain shortages and all the rest. So we do have a policy in place that we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, our partners in Public Works have also been great about making sure that we're only purchasing EVs, and EV first is the motto going forward. So the other thing that we're looking at as it relates to facilities is we've become aware of a number of different options for procurement. So there's the process to construct and make improvements can be quite complicated. And so we've been taking advantage of all of the technical support and programs to try to find a way to electrify the remaining facilities in the most efficient and cost-effective way possible. So hoping to have more to come on that in the coming years. So if we continue to talk about what we've been doing, right, a lot of it is about our participation in these programs, and again, trying to do this as efficiently as possible and cost effectively as possible. So we'll have a presentation by me after this on the Peninsula Clean Energy Solar for Public Buildings program, which the city is participating in. And so that should help us to offset some of our costs looking into the future. As we electrify, securing a stable rate is going to be important for us. We've also been doing a lot of work around our zero emission landscape equipment. And so a number of pieces of equipment and charging infrastructure have been installed, and we are currently at 80% electric leaf blower use, and string trimmers are right on their heels. We've also been running a Tesla pilot for PD patrol use. And so we continue to learn more and more about the vehicle needs from there, informing our EV charging plans. And then we were approved for the purchase of a Chevrolet Blazer EV, which is a patrol or pursuit rated EV. And so that's going to be our second phase of this pilot to see if that meets some of the space needs better for the officers. And, just because our goal is 2030, every emission that we reduce along the way is important. And so the city has committed and is only purchasing renewable diesel, which does reduce emissions. The most conservative estimate that I saw was 65%. The product webpage said 90. So there's a range in there depending on where it's sourced, but those emission reductions for the equipment that we can't replace with electric right now and throughout the use of it in the next 7 years is going to be helpful, because with that comes a reduction in the particulates as well as the GHGs. And I mentioned it on the earlier slide, but we continue to have an EV first policy for purchasing new vehicles. And so getting into the policies, we have our sustainable fleet policy, this climate action plan, goal number 5, and the zero emission landscape equipment ordinance, and our commitments to be leaders in that. Outside of the city, there's the Bay Area Air Quality Management District rules, eliminating gas water heaters starting in 2027. And there's also the advanced clean fleet regulations, which is not noted on this slide, but wanted to make note of that as it relates to fleets. So the city is well prepared to move in to these new landscapes where at least 50% of the new vehicles need to be electric within certain classes of vehicles. And then I believe it's in 2026 or 2027, 100% of new vehicles will need to be zero emission vehicles. And so all of the groundwork that we have been laying and the charging infrastructure projects that we've been working on will put us in good shape to comply with those state requirements. With the state requirements, there's also funding, and the funding landscape is changing rapidly. There's also a lot of federal monies, regional, and then also through the utilities. So we continue to track and monitor those. As of right now, we're currently involved in the Peninsula Clean Energy Fleet EV Charging Technical Assistance Program. We're working through the PG&E Fleet Charging Program. We have, again, we just concluded the Wildan Water Heater Replacement Program, which provided all of those water heaters. Again, $110,000. I was pretty excited about, no cost to the city. And so looking at later rounds of that for our remaining assets. And then the PCE, Peninsula Clean Energy Solar for Public Buildings, which we'll learn a little bit more about later this evening. And then as we look to the future, Peninsula Clean Energy announced a new loan and additional incentive programs to help electrify city operations. So there's a lot going on, and we continue to monitor those. And with all of that and everything that we're looking at, we kind of set some general parameters, which I think are consistent. We try to be consistent across the other CAP items, and really it's focusing on high impact fleet and facility electrification, and because of limited staff capacity, we want to make sure that the things that we're working on are things that are going to help us advance the goal to the greatest extent. So that's looking at where we have influence, where we have the ability or the authority. How do we continue to monitor operating costs and keep an eye out for opportunities to mitigate the upfront cost and the ongoing cost of this transition. And then, continuing to keep our feet rooted in the present, but our heads looking to the future and understanding what are the infrastructure needs that we're going to need to be planning for future electrification, and then also for resilience. And all of that kind of goes into, how do we find the right scope to continue the great work that we're doing, and then give ourselves something to reach toward, being mindful of our limited capacity and the fact that this is one of several cap items. And so if we are able to get this into a position where the trajectory for this item and the capacity building that we're doing in the other departments, if it looks like we're on track, and less of a sustainability input is needed, then we can look at using some of our capacity in some of the other areas of the other cap items. So those are all things to think about. So I made one update on this slide just because there was an error. The last item talking about the remaining 10% was actually conflated two things. So not this goal, which is to eliminate 100% of the fossil fuel use in city operations, but in the original 2030 cap, it defined carbon neutrality as a 90% reduction and then 10% removal credit. So that remaining 10% was an error, so we took that out. But yeah, some possible ideas for the Environmental Quality Commission. These are again based on that donut that we showed earlier of all of the municipal emissions. Again, the scope of the 2030 cap is to look at facility and fleet electrification within our 2019 greenhouse gas inventory. Included in municipal emissions were also employee commute and the landfill flare. Just for kind of a clarification of what that is, the Bedwell Bayfront Park was a former landfill, and so since being retired, there is equipment out there. It's an enclosed flare device to burn off the methane, and that helps to make sure that we're not emitting methane or anything else into the community, and it's burnt at a very high efficiency rate. So with that, I can turn it back to the chair to see if there's any clarifying questions before we get into the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paz. That was it's always so heartening to see the leadership that the city is taking in terms of being a role model and reducing emissions. And I loved hearing about the partnership across all the different departments too. All right, so clarifying questions. And then we'll go public comment and then discussion.
I had a question. What was the Wilden GK12 heat pump water heater, $110,000? Is that a grant? What is Wilden GK12? Is there more of that we can go get?
There is. So it's a program. Wilden Engineering won the contract, and so they'll continue through this next year. But essentially, it's the GK12 is government, and then K through 12 schools. So the program is meant to provide money to those institutions to convert existing natural gas water heaters to the more efficient heat pump water heaters. And so we were fortunate to hear about this actually through one of the RICAPS meetings that we continue to go to, and then went through the process to apply, and then I got 9 water heaters replaced through that at no cost to the city. And so we will be looking, because there will be more money available, and if you're working with other schools or cities, it's a great program, and they have good staff and good support we had a good experience with it.
Is this a federal program or a state program? Where did the funding come from?
It came through the state, I believe. So I believe it came through PG&E, and so it is a state-funded program.
That sounds great.
Great.
Yeah, thanks for the question. All right, other questions? All right, well, thank you. So, Ms. Lucky, do we have any public comment?
Thank you, Chair Headley. At this time, if there are any members of the public who are in attendance and would like to make comment on this agenda item of possible work scope ideas for climate action plan strategy number 5 to eliminate fossil fuel use from city operations, you can use the raised hand feature on the screen or next to your name, and I'll be able to unmute your microphone. You can address the commission for up to 3 minutes. And we don't have anybody in the room, just have remote attendees at this point. Okay, I don't see any hands raised at the time. You may continue, Chair Headley.
So what staff is hoping for is, like we've done in past months, is to get our ideas for how to proceed with the strategy for the 2025 to 2030 scope. So we can open it up for discussion and yeah, go ahead, Commissioner McKenna.
I'll just start with a question. Are we on track to be zero emissions as a city operation by 2030? And if not, where are the struggles? Where are the hurdles we need to get over that would be most important for you to get feedback on?
Great question. Ori, do you want to chime in on that?
Yes, sorry, I was just, it looked like Rebecca was going to say something, so I wanted to let her go first, but I can definitely take that one. So it does appear that we are on track, and we have continued to slot items into both our capital improvement program and then working with our fleet supervisor to identify the vehicle replacements that we're going to need to make. So it looks like we are definitely on track. I will say that with that comes a lot of projects and a lot of investments that the city is going to need to continue to make. And so we can do it. There are questions about some of the larger vehicles and pieces of equipment that right now we're operating on renewable diesel. But we are confident that we're going to continue to monitor what is available and then funding sources, because it's a matter of some of it is what is technically feasible when it comes to these larger vehicles, but then the other piece of it is a cost component. So even for trucks where there's not an equivalent electric, you can re-energize, but it's at a substantial cost premium. And so we are hoping that with all of the volume that comes from the advanced clean fleets requirements in the next couple of years, that we're going to continue to see more and more of these larger vehicles with a zero emission option become available. And then see those prices come down. And then at the same time, we're continuing to look at like how do we get our charging infrastructure set up, and then through the PCE or Prince Clean Energy solar program, and then continuing to look at solar and batteries and microgrids for our facilities to try to offset some of those costs and again secure ourselves, because we have heard that the costs of electricity are slated to rise potentially substantially over the next 10 to 20 years. And so being able to generate electricity, and then also looking at how do we take an eye at efficiency so that we can we can operate our buildings as cost effectively as possible. Long-winded way of saying we do appear to be on track, but it will take investment, and it's going to take us kind of continuing to stay on the ball.
Thanks, Tori, and thanks, Commissioner McKenna, for the question. It's good to hear that we're on track. Yeah.
So another question, Ori, on the kind of circular chart. So I understand that fleet facilities are the number 1 and 2 priorities, but there were also some other big categories. So is part of the plan to address all of those, or just fleet and facilities?
So the current scope included in the climate action plan is a focus on fleet and facilities. These other items were included in our municipal inventory. So as far as our ability to meet the goal, it's a focus on fleet and facilities.
Okay, so when you're talking about the goal being met, Ori, is it primarily focused on those two, but not talking about employee commute or the waste reduction or the?
I think we do factor those in to some degree, like the employee commute, there's opportunities to increase EV charging at work or promote, alternative transportation, which we've been doing through, Caltrain passes and things like that to and make sure that our employees are using cleaner options to get to work and get back home as well. And then
But the 100% goal is primarily focused on those two, not the whole circle.
yeah, I think that's probably a policy question. I mean, that's how we've typically measured it. Yeah, and like Ori said, our focus has been more on electrification of like our actual operations, but there are, potential influencing other factors as well. And when inventory started, it was kind of not really sure like what's responsible, like what's your responsible, are you responsible for your employee commute, or are you not responsible for that, or closed landfills, like what does that look like in terms? And so I think it's still probably open for understanding, but over the next 5 years, I mean, these projects that Ori is talking about are extremely robust, complex, involve multiple people and additional costs. And so that's why that's been the primary focus. It's not to say that we won't get to, employee commute, because we do understand that there's that aspect. And we've been looking at that as part of our EV charging plan of how do we accommodate, and ensure people have that access as well. And we're we have to monitor the Bedwell Bayfront landfill and always try to strive to make it as clean as possible. It's actually much cleaner than it's ever been. When I first started here, I toured it, and then we've really moved quite a long way in that regard.
I think it's just helpful for us to understand, like, what is 100%? Is 100% eliminating that whole donut, or is it just the two pieces? And I think we understand now.
Yes.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. In terms of the commute, so the data about employee commute was from 2019, and I was curious what's been happening from a city employee perspective in terms of working from home. Like, has that changed the commute landscape in a post-COVID world?
I would say yes, it has changed, right? Because of the current remote work or hybrid policy is that employees are coming in 3 days a week. So for employees who are working on the 980 schedule, where you work 4 9-hour days and then an 8-hour Friday, followed by a week with 4 9-hour days and an off Friday, right? Like you're either in 3 out of 5 or 3 out of 4 days. The 980 schedule itself actually is reduces commute by 1 day. So some of those flexible work policies are helping, and then continuing to offer the Go Pass is another great offering. And then there are other transportation programs to promote carpooling. And I think there is one for walking, if I'm not mistaken, but Rebecca, yeah, I'm seeing the none. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. I had another question. When you were talking about this slide, you said that the Burgess Pool emissions were the biggest part. And I was wondering, how's that going in terms of moving the heat pumps?
Yes, so we had done some preliminary engineering to show that it would be possible to accommodate the heating load with air source heat pumps. We were also taking a watchful eye of how things progress through at the Menlo Park Community Campus, or MPCC, because there were concerns over the noise at that site, and that site had the benefit of being able to be designed with a combo water circulation under the solar panel array. So it really was able to mitigate the number of hours that those heat pumps are going to need to be running. For Burgess, we're going to look at all of that as well. We're still in the process of trying to address it as part of a larger facility electrification, or determine if we need to pull it out and do it separately. The key piece there is we would like to, if we can, only go through the process of upgrading our service with PG&E once, because that's a very, very long and involved process. And so if we can identify our total load increase for full electrification and size our equipment accordingly, that's going to be advantageous for, or we think that's going to be advantageous for us, so that we don't have to go back through that process, because everything that we hear about that process is that it takes a long time, and it takes longer than the long time that you budgeted for it.
Other questions?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go here and then here. Yeah.
And I had the same question about Burgess. On the resilience and blackout area, are we doing? Have you already mentioned microgrids for some new development? But for existing buildings, are you exploring non-diesel backup for that type of situation?
Yes, yeah, we're certainly in the. It is on our minds. The other thing that we're looking at is there's a number of programs related to community resilience centers, and so as we track those programs and monies that are becoming available through that, we're also looking at those as a possible opportunity to establish microgrids. Also, the Peninsula Clean Energy program that we're going to be talking a little bit more about, that was something that we're looking at as well. That program was initially going to include batteries, but due to kind of a sprint to get under the NEM 2.0 tariff rate, the batteries have been put on pause, but we could pick that back up in 2026, which I think is a great opportunity for us, just given where battery technology is going, and the rapid pace of advancement with vehicle to grid and all of the things around the potential to start using some of our electrified fleet as a large battery bank, so that if we do have an event and we put the right charging infrastructure and we get the right vehicles, then we can start to look at those as another way to augment our power reserves, in addition to the actual batteries that we would be looking at either through the Peninsula Clean Energy program in 2026 or on our own.
No, that's outstanding. That's great. On that one, just a quick follow-up. So I meant to ask whether we have processes for selecting what EV vehicles we do, but in particular, the Blazer supports bidirectional, I'm pretty sure, but the Tesla doesn't. So do we have a list of qualifiers? That would be one. I guess Union Shop would be another question.
What was the second question?
for choosing what EV vehicles we're going to select. One would be bidirectional charging, the other one that as you were talking about Tesla versus GM, I was thinking, well, one of them is a union shop, union company, the other one is not. And I know in some public situations, that makes a big difference. So I was wondering whether that was part of the list of factors to choose what vehicle to use.
Yeah, and I think the other vehicle that we have been ordering, I apologize if you can hear the dog barking, but the Ford F-150 Lightning
Yeah.
also supports bidirectional as far as we're aware. And so we have historically been a Ford shop, and one of the things that our fleet supervisor has clarified for me is that if we are able to look to one or two vehicle manufacturers, it makes maintenance significantly more manageable because they also have staff capacity needs within the fleet division. And then it also cuts down on the costs for all of the different equipment that you need to work on the different vehicles from manufacturers. But I think those parameters are things to consider as far as, you know, what are the things that we want to embed into our vehicle replacement process. Those are things that we would certainly welcome the input from the commission on. And then we can, again, go back and bring them to our partners in the fleet division and have that conversation about, you know, embedding some of those, or what are the considerations around it. But that would be a great, you know, category or type of feedback to provide.
Thank you.
Two comments. One, on the maintenance, I'm wondering if we have to maybe rethink about maintenance, because EVs require tremendously less maintenance than a gas-powered car. So maybe that maintenance criteria shouldn't be as high up as maybe it was in the past. Secondly, I'm no expert on IRA. I'm trying to learn about it, but I've explored what incentives might be available through IRA for schools and electrification. And I believe that it's limited to ground sourced heat pumps for schools. And it wouldn't be a tax credit to the school because they're not paying taxes, but it would be just cash in the equivalent amount of a tax credit. So I'm curious, I don't know if that applies to government, but if it does, could ground sourced heat pumps be an option for Burgess?
So yeah, but certainly we would welcome any information, or if you can share some of the research that you've done, and we can continue to look into that. I think we're certainly not ruling it out, especially given the noise sensitivity and the proximity to, you know, just like houses are much closer at this site than at the previous site. In the past, we've heard that the ground source heat pumps are significantly more expensive than the air source option. But if there is federal funding available to help support that, certainly not off the table.
Just a quick follow-up on that one. If we have leads or anything, should we send them your way?
Oh yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
sure-
Please do.
I suspect that you know everything that I know, but I'll send you anything I have.
Yes, yeah, that would be very helpful. And yeah, our plan is to kind of continue to work through, again, looking at the kind of facility electrification, almost like a master plan. And so as we move into the RFP phases of that, yeah, this is all helpful information to have, and then we can make sure that we get quotes and assess ground source in addition to air source heat pumps.
I have a question about the landfill situation and the flares. I'm wondering if there's any I'm wondering just more information on how that works, like how often do flares happen? Does it have a negative impact on the community, especially close by? And what would you recommend doing differently in order to reduce our emissions around it?
So we were able to connect with the consultant who manages the maintenance and then compliance for Bedwell Bayfront, because there are strict air quality qualifications that need to be met, or criteria, I guess would be more appropriate. And so it's as the gas is released, it is flared off. So I believe it's constant, or near constant, in order to make sure that there's no gas that's escaping that is not combusted. And then they do need to meet very strict Bay Area Air Quality Management District requirements. And so we were able to connect with the consultant, and they let us know that there should not be any impact to the community from the continued operation of these flares, or of the flare, because it's really just the one at Bedwell Bayfront Park.
Okay, so you're not recommending any change then? It doesn't really make sense to change that practice. Am I hearing that right?
Yes, yeah, with it's continuing to decrease, and then the staff focus, there's a lot of things that we have agency over that require time and attention, and so there are actions that we can be taking in other areas, and if we get all of that done and it's 2026 and we're like, well, what are we going to do now? Then maybe we could look at something. But just looking at the lead times for some of these large capital improvement projects, I don't imagine that we're going to be without things to do in this arena.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't harming our local communities, and yeah, sounds good. All right, so there's a few people we haven't heard from yet. Any questions from either of you before we go back to people who've been asking questions?
I saw some public press coverage about San Jose, the city of San Jose, working out a deal with PG&E to take control of some of their interconnects to address the challenges they're facing with long delays of getting capacity upgrades. I'm just wondering if that's something Menlo Park has looked into at all.
I can follow up with our public works team. I would imagine no, just given the scale difference between the city of San Jose and Menlo Park, and they have quite a large number of staff members, so they may have additional capacity as compared to us. But I'm happy to look into it to see, or if you can forward me the article, it would be good to.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
Thanks.
You mentioned there's a no new fossil fuel purchase policy, and I was wondering if that's for everything or just vehicles. And you said there's a infeasibility exemption. I'm just curious, is that exemption, is there a definition of what's infeasible, what becomes infeasible? Obviously, all of us here, I presume, don't want to see any future fossil fuel purchases at all. So I'm just curious what the criteria the city uses is.
Yeah, so I guess to the first question, it does extend beyond vehicles. So we are looking for all of the equipment replacements. So for water heaters, furnaces, we've been tracking a few boilers and trying to identify what the electric alternative is going to be to replace those as well. And of course the pool heater that we've been talking about. Infeasible, I think there's like a technically infeasible, there is not a suitable product on the market. Has been kind of the the working definition. And then there's also an element of a cost and feasibility. And so if it is the case where we find something that could work, but it has a much larger price tag than the fossil fuel equivalent, certainly like between now and 2030, it's a maybe, depending on the useful life of it. But if it's going to extend into 2030, then that would be something where we would make the additional cost known. I think a good example of this is we looked at, there's an electric shuttle bus, and so to replace the shuttle with a gas equivalent, or sorry, to replace it with an electric shuttle was going to be around the order of 270,000. And so that went to the council, and we said, hey, this is an additional cost, but this is in accordance with our policy, and made sure that we were transparent about that. And then they approved it, and we're moving forward with looking for that in the next year. So I would say the primary definition of infeasible for us is there's no product that can do the job on the market.
Great. I just have one more question, kind of not important, but the Wildan program, 9 water heaters, $110,000. I know it costs the city nothing, but that's basically $12,000 a water heater. I'm just curious, it seems high. Is there a reason for that, or per unit cost?
So if you divide it evenly, it skews it a little bit, because there's some of them are like 120 gallon heat pump water heater that are much more expensive. And then there's like some that are 80 gallons, a little bit less expensive than the 120, but more expensive than like a 40 or 50 gallon. I think 50 gallon was the minimum. So it varied depending on the capacity. So different sites needed different hot water capacities, and then also there were installation challenges for some facilities that were not present at others. So in a facility where you have the electrical panel in the same room as the existing equipment, and there's enough room, and you don't need to do like long wire runs, those installations were cheaper. But we also pay prevailing wage for all of the work that is done on city facilities, and so that does add to the cost as well.
Thank you.
Ray, just a quick question on fleet electrification. Is that the one metric where maybe we're close enough to be able to show a countdown to completion way of looking at it? Meaning, there's 100 vehicles in the fleet, we're at 70% of the goal. Over the next 3 years, we're going to get 10 this year, 10 next year, 10 the following. I'm just trying to get to sort of a countdown to completion way of thinking about it, because that kind of a roadmap tends to excite people and make it a little more fait accompli. I'm just wondering if the fleet electrification is there yet.
Yeah, I would say that we are close to there, with the caveat that there are going to be pockets within that are still kind of like mystery zero emission vehicles, because we haven't found suitable replacements for those. But certainly something that we could work with our partners in the fleet division to put together.
But maybe another way of asking that question is, how many vehicles are we away from 100% completion ballpark?
Yeah, so we have 123 vehicles. I think right now we have 18 electric vehicles, so we're about 105.
Just a quick follow-up on that one. Are you tracking the number of miles traveled by the vehicles? Because some vehicles might only be taken once in a blue moon, and those are going to be really hard to replace. But if you are tracking the number of miles, we might be much closer because maybe the small vehicles are driven all the time, and those are electric. That's
Yeah,
another
so-
way of doing the same goal of trying. I mean,
I think
ideally
that
you want 100%, but
right, and then like how do we approach the strategy behind which vehicles do we
Right.
replace when? And so I think that gets back to the if there are a set of criteria or parameters that the commission is interested in staff baking into the replacement timeline, then certainly we're open to hearing those and then bringing them to our fleet team to work with them. And I'd say we track mileage, we track the downtime on the vehicles, right? So if a vehicle is fairly new but isn't performing, then it may be slotted for replacement ahead of one that is functioning fine. And so that assessment, and then also the age of the vehicle. So there's different criteria. So police patrol vehicles usually have a 5-year lifetime. There's a mileage count on that as well. Some of the like pool vehicles, they can stay around for 10 years. And then as you get into more outfitted vehicles, the public works trucks and some of the more specialized equipment, then you're looking at like 15 to 25 year life cycles for that equipment.
Maybe one more follow-on question is, do we know of the 105, how many of the 105 are gonna hit end of life before 2030? Ballpark?
So we do have information about that. We also have a replacement, like a tentative replacement schedule that is showing that 115 of our 123 vehicles would be replaced by 2030. And so I guess maybe I should have started with that. So we are tracking that, and then I can work with our fleet team to kind of get the appropriate caveats and clarifications of that data to share that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks. That last point was where my head was going, is that's only 8. Then we have a delta of 8, right? It's either 8 we're not quite sure of, or 8 might be slightly outside the 2030 window, which, isn't 100% complete, but that's 115 is a pretty good percentage. Right.
Yeah, it's about an average of 15 vehicles per year. And so if we look at this year as an example, we were approved for 12. Last year, I think it was 13. So, and we're anticipating that it's going to be easier to get the vehicles. So one of the issues that we have been having is that, we ordered 9 Ford Lightnings, but we got 2. And so we've been able to kind of just extend the use of the vehicles that those we're going to replace, but baking into our replacement timeline, some considerations for vehicle availability is definitely something that's on our fleet mind. Yes, Commissioner Kissel.
Specifically, we have 150. There's an article this week in the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, saying that it's the highest inventory of any electric vehicle right now. So something's changed over the last probably 6 months. Have we gone back to Ford or Ford dealers to find out? I mean, did we delay the purchase as a result, or did we move on to some other alternative?
Nope, we've had a number of orders canceled, and then there's like limited order windows, and so our fleet team has been monitoring those and trying to get in as those open up. And that was one of the things that was important about getting the approval from council, is that now we're authorized with a bit of a buffer to move on those when those order windows open up. But it's great to hear that the volume is there, and I'm hoping that that makes its way down into them completing back orders and honoring some of the, the earlier orders.
It looks like the window's open now, so we're
Oh, great.
reached.
But Ori too, for those public work vehicles, do they require modification? Or I think that's also the other
So
part
not
of,
just the shell.
yeah,
Okay.
or do we send that somewhere else and they outfit it?
Yeah, we do. We have outfitting partners for most of our vehicles, right? So there's a whole set of specialized outfitters that do the work for the police vehicles, and then there's another set for public works vehicles. We also looked at, we've been looking at vans in place of trucks in some instances, and so some of the facilities vehicles are being replaced with the e-transits because those were very available. And in having conversations, we were able to kind of think creatively about does it need to be a truck or could it be a van? So yeah, that's great to hear. I have standing call with our fleet team, and so I'll ask them how things are looking now with that open window.
I think Commissioner McKenna had a question, then we can go to you.
Yeah, sorry for all the questions. One comment, one question. Comment is just that understanding limited staff resources and whatnot, but 40% of our missions are these areas we're not really focused on. So maybe that's an area where EQC could do some research and come up with ways to address that 40%, because that seems like a significant number. Second, the question I had is a clarifying question. Ori, I think you mentioned that the state requires a certain number of EV purchases by a certain date. Did you say 100% by 2027? Like a government entity cannot purchase a gas-powered vehicle after 2027?
So I can pull up it's the Advanced Clean Fleet Regulation. I was actually just in a webinar about it earlier today. And so there's different criteria, but it's new vehicle purchases. So starting next year, 2024, 50% of new vehicles will need to be zero emission vehicles. And these are vehicles that are class 2 and above. So it's like 8,500 pounds. So it's not like all of the light duty vehicles, but it's more getting to the heavier duty vehicles and pushing those towards zero emission. So as they're replaced. But I can quickly in the background just pull up the date. I believe it was 2027, but I will double check that.
I just love the concept. Seems like the kind of bold policy we need.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the more I'm thinking about this as well, Ori, I love the vehicle data because it's really getting to that stuff I've been rattling on about around counting the number of buildings, getting to a sense of when is 100% electrified. It's a very simplified data set that says there's 123 of them, 115 of them will be electrified by the goal. And electrification is just replacement typically. And then there's 8 to go, which were and then you started to narrate over, hey, is it a truck versus a van? I'd encourage us to think about this as a really illustrative data set to present to some groups about how we can move away from greenhouse gas emissions as the way we're tracking success, because that's very nebulous. But hey, we got 8 vehicles to go is a very tangible metric, and we're coming up with really active solutions. So it's just really striking me that data set could be really powerful as a way to start presenting other sets of data that's a little more harder to count, so to speak. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm still rattling on the data, but it's just an easy story to tell.
Yes, I think definitely makes sense, and something that we can look at. And then, yeah, I think I guess the hesitation has been, there's all of the caveats. So I don't want to speak for Dawn and our fleet team, but we can certainly connect and find something that addresses all of those, and can do some of this storytelling that you're mentioning.
Yeah, working the caveats part of the process, right? That's totally cool. It's the ability to say, we're going from 123 to 118 to 115 to 110, like we're chipping away at a very tangible number. And, a year from now, we celebrate and we go 30 more vehicles to go. I'm just trying to get the data in a way that gets people excited versus.
Yeah, and I guess I wonder, is that something that would happen as part of our cap update? Like next summer, or is there a time where we would want to give an update to city council and everybody else before then?
Yeah.
So I would turn to Rebecca to see, but I believe the plan is to bring the compiled feedback and staff recommendation to the EQC some point next year, and then that would go to city council following that. But if
maybe just as part of that, you do like the specific counting, then everyone can be excited about where we are at toward our goal and do what we can to get it across the finish line.
Yeah, because we picked the two segments that are the biggest emitters, right? The fleet is so that's all we would need to really cover as far as why we chose that segment to work on. Just like we were talking about commercial buildings being the segment we'd work on for building electrification. And then we just start doing a countdown, 100 buildings to go, 50 buildings to go, 20 buildings to go. Same with the fleet.
Yeah. All right. I have a question in terms of where we're at. Ori, do you feel like you have enough feedback from us, or would you like us to make a motion and try to narrow things down to give more clear guidance? Or does anyone in the room stop feeling? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I talked over you in the last thing you said, so if you could just repeat that.
I was also just wondering if anybody in the room here had any feelings on that, but if you have any strong feelings, I'd love to hear them first.
I would welcome a motion and kind of identifying some specific items of feedback, and that way we can make sure that we are able to address those.
Great.
I might turn to Rebecca to see if she has any other thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think, a motion or feedback, or, are we moving in the right direction for 2030, or as far as like the plan for building electrification and fleet electrification as the priority? And then as Ori stated, if we somehow magically, miraculously hit our goal, what are the other priority areas?
Okay. Great. Well, I think to Commissioner McKenna's point, like if we do make significant inroads on these first two priorities, addressing that last 40%, it seems like a good thing to do, but buildings and fleet seems like a good place to start. But it sounds like there are some opportunities, given the conversation that we had, to give some specific guidance that might be in the form of a motion. So I don't know if anyone has been tracking that. I have an attempt, and I don't know if anyone wants to do our standard thing where we pull up a Word doc and try to get it just right. Does anybody want to make an attempt at a motion that we can then massage? I can make an attempt to share what I heard if you all want. Okay, do you have a?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Do you have a thing? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so the things that I heard around the fleet was potentially addressing the highest mileage vehicles first. But it sounds like there's also the end of life situation. So a combination of those two pieces to electrify. The Burgess Pool electrification seems really important. Continuing on this Wilden GK12 heat pump water heater thing to get more free water heaters. I heard some excitement about more microgrids for resilience and community resilience centers. it sounds like going after the batteries for after 2026 with PCE would make a lot of sense, and going back to the fleet piece, choosing vehicles that have bi-directional charging would be a nice addition to the resilience strategies that we've been talking about. So that's what I kind of got. Did I miss anything big that came through any of the other questions?
This is kind of an overarching climate action plan question, but I feel like we need a new inventory. So I think I heard that there's a possibility we'll have that next year, but I would think that should be a priority. So we can figure out where we are
I think so
today.
too, 'cause
It's been
2019 is a long time
maybe
ago.
5 years next year, so. I
Yeah,
don't know if we want to add that into this motion or just an overarching, item we include at the end of this 6-month study session, but.
I would add it into this motion. I think we could make a motion on that every month between here and, Liz, would you be willing to share what your, when it's ready?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so additional inventory, and then maybe to the inventory point is like, how are we doing? Like, what's the water heater situation? What's the HVAC situation?
I'm thinking of
What's the
it
fleet
like
situation?
one way we could label this is like the countdown to success.
Nice,
So it's the data it's a way of using the data to tell.
the electrification count.
You're right, yeah, exactly, yeah, so it's using vehicles as an example because there's so few of 123 is a very tangible number. And that number is gonna be more successful. I think you said already at like 30 per year, so the countdown to success is a pretty compelling way to tell that story for vehicles.
All right, so there's something around the countdown. And an emissions update, green inventory update. Commissioner Lynn, we've heard from you, not to put you on the spot, but do you have any thoughts? Any of this?
Looking at it, it's good conversation.
Did we include something about the 40% motion?
Oh, no, but I think that would be good.
Address the remaining 40% from
Yes.
this.
Yeah,
I'm not sharing, so can I just read it out? Is that okay?
yes,
Okay.
please.
Address the highest mileage and end of life. Regarding the fleet, choose bi-directional charging capable. Burgess Coal electrification. Continue with Wilden program GK12. More microgrids for facilities and community resilience centers. Batteries with PCE after 2026 and address remaining 40% from municipal inventory. Is that so?
Is there any chances that you can?
Yeah, I have to log in.
Oh,
Yeah, it's helpful to see it, thanks.
Or if I send it to you, can you share? So that you-
Yeah.
Me.
Okay.
And then I guess one clarification, was it, so address the remaining 40% from the municipal inventory. If we have accomplished the building and fleet?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, because it's hard to imagine. Sometimes it takes like the last 5% takes a long time, and I imagine there would be maybe some staff energy available before we get to 100% that could be directed elsewhere. So, but I don't know what the right metric is exactly.
Is it reasonable to suggest that we increase staff?
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's something that we would look at as part of this exercise, right, of hearing the feedback and what it would take. And that's the conversation ultimately with the city council, once we have the scope updates for all the cap items, is to try to figure out what is the priority, like what does that look like in terms of budget resources, or do we need to make trade-offs in some instances to make room for this project? Yeah.
Good question.
And the only thing I would add with the inventories is, as you go forward with it, just to be very careful, because the pandemic has really skewed a couple of those inventories. So it's gonna look like we're doing really great, both in the community and our GHG inventory. I think for the municipal inventory, you could probably get pretty close with 2023 data. But with the community data, we're usually about like a year behind just because of how you can get PG&E data for that whole year. So we're not gonna quite be there for the community, like a realistic picture of where things are under this new normal. But maybe for the 2023 municipal inventory. So this year, because we went from a two-day, right, in person to 3 days, so that's gonna show as well, as far as, employee commute and some other aspects. Okay, I see it, I see.
I think that whenever we share that data, we can always just mark on the graph, pandemic years, because who knows, 10 years from now, we might forget that there was a pandemic. And we can always just mark it, But I think it's important to share and include that data because we were able to continue to live and operate. So it might point to some ideas for the future.
Okay. So I've got these notes, and so for fleet, address the highest mileage and end of life as a priority, right?
Yeah.
I just prioritize. Pretty sure it's about that. Okay, and then choose bi-directional charging. Or just pull electrification.
Yeah. So this is more the buildings, right? The facilities.
Yes, continue with village. Explore microgrids, right? Explore.
And I think the piece that overall isn't included there is about the greenhouse gas emissions inventory, updating that and tracking and sharing the data about the fleet and the water heaters and anything else. Yes.
Battery storage, right? Battery.
So the intention of the inventory is to provide a new baseline.
Well, just a snapshot of where we are now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can also help us hopefully focus in the future.
Can't see now, guys. Got my thing, okay. Then update the inventories or update. No. Okay. Inventory.
Can I just ask the question that might affect this? And I think Nancy, Chair Headley mentioned this, but the flaring, the methane from the landfill, has the city looked at, I don't even know if this is possible, but could that methane be put to use as opposed to being flared? Is that something the city has looked at, or is that even?
I think the city has looked at that. Maybe Ori can investigate some more and provide commission of what is happening there.
I think he did
Yeah.
some research for me before.
okay, great.
I think he might be ready to speak
Yep.
on it now.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
so
Ryan.
thank you. The latest information that we have from the consultant who's monitoring and administering the flares said that the good thing is the methane emissions have continued to drop from the landfill. The target percentage for methane capture and then use in other uses is 50%, and we're now below 50%. We're in like the mid 40s as like the percentage makeup of the gas that's coming out of the landfill. So we're not like the best methane source for a lot of these producers, was what they relayed. But it yeah, if that was the latest on capture is about the current makeup.
Thank you.
All right, so in terms of the screen share, I don't know if we can make the pictures smaller, and it looks like you're in an email, so we're not able to see the whole thing. I don't know if there's a way that we can make better use of the screen.
So, is that better? A little bit, because I'm gonna email it back to the Orion list.
Oh, okay.
So it was, or I
If
just put it in
you-
Microsoft Word.
Yeah, if you want, you can send it to me, Rebecca. I have a Word doc open.
Okay. Or did you want to add more? Is this? good
Mostly I
enough?
just wanted to become clear so that we can make a motion.
Well, there's one missing, on the last one around the storytelling, the countdown to success,
Yes,
data tracking. I'd make it a separate bullet because it's not really tied to the inventory.
So countdown,
Countdown to success,
countdown to electrification.
whatever we call it, data tracking.
Countdown to net zero.
and this is for public, like, is this?
Yeah, it's a way. It's a way to take the number 123 every year, show how we're chipping away at
Okay.
that. So it's a way to look at the data and tell the story of reaching a goal using the vehicle number. Exactly.
Okay, so usually we have like a couple different ways of putting the data out for, like, we haven't done our progress report in quite some time, but usually like the progress report is one mechanism to put that in, or are you looking for it? I just want to be kind of so,
For city council, for public, for us.
Whatever the
It's-
way is.
Yeah, it's such a tangible number to count from that I'm trying to use that as an example to get to more complex numbers like commercial buildings and where we don't even know quite the number.
okay.
And I guess
So
with this thing,
that makes a lot of sense.
Just-
Does it make sense to put it in the same?
I think so, because we're
It's-
talking
it's a
about
bit-
the five,
Well,
which is,
it's
okay.
using vehicles as an
Yeah.
example, because it's the
Right.
most tangible number I've seen to count down from.
right. I guess as I'm thinking about this motion, I think this is really good. So I think there's three buckets. There's the fleet, there's the municipal buildings, and then there's a data piece. And then there's bullets, sub-bullets under each of those.
Could be, or you could group this with fleet, because all I'm saying is,
But I think you could also do it for water heaters. So that's why I think it should be,
it's fair enough. Do we know how many water heaters? Like
I'm sure they can count them.
9 or 15.
Yeah, it was 9 of 15.
950?
9 of 15.
What does that mean? That's how many. we're doing.
15. So the big number is 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got
Yeah.
9 done. We got 8 more to go. 6 more to go. Yeah, but
So,
that's even a more tangible number.
Right.
It's just a way of presenting the data to say, we're getting really close, keep going.
Yeah, that's why I think we should have a data thing that includes anything that can be
So
counted.
fleet and water heaters are the two examples of counting down.
And maybe to clarify, update the municipal greenhouse gas inventory.
And to the point that Nancy was making, maybe countdown to success for, sorry. On the last one, countdown to success for fleet and water heaters, right?
Yeah.
Maybe such as,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, for example,
Yeah.
yeah. Because we could theoretically do that for all the numbers
Exactly.
that we're trying to reach, as long as we can count that first number and then work our way backwards.
It'll be nice in the next update to show all kinds of successes.
Yeah.
All right.
sorry, again, I know I'm on this tiny screen, but
No, it's okay. I think we're following. Okay, does this feel like it has the most important things from our convo? In terms of a motion, anybody want to make a motion? Maybe before we do that, Rory, do you have any concerns about taking some of this to your partners across the city?
No, I just wanted to confirm that the time frame for some of these, because I think we were kind of jumping back and forward in time. So is this, it sounds like some of these things we're hoping to see sooner than the 2025, 2030 time.
Like the
Frame.
data? I think the data we want to see, like, yeah. But what
Okay,
else do we want
so-
to see?
Yeah, I think maybe it might be helpful to
Okay,
bifurcate and identify the
Right,
which
'cause it seems
things are
like the Versus
recommendations. Yeah.
pool And maybe the water heaters could happen sooner rather than later. Is that true? And some of the fleet stuff. Oh, that's a really good question. Okay, so that's helpful. Continue to prioritize fleet and building electrification. Let's see. Okay, so in the 2025 timeframe, I think the battery storage was later. Is that right? And maybe the vehicle to grid piece is later? Do we have vehicle to grid?
Well, I think what we can do is maybe like take this feedback and figure out like how to plug it in based on, so I think it might be good to check in with Public Works on how all these other projects are gonna align. But this is helpful for everyone to see kind of.
Yeah.
What, does that work, Ori? Maybe like we can come back with potential dates, but trying to figure out within the 2025-2030 timeframe.
Okay, so if
Like,
I'm
this is the
understanding
high
correct,
level. Yeah, so this is the high level. What the Environmental Quality Commission would like to see between 2025 and 2030. I mean, we can make a note about the inventory, which is on our plan anyway for this year to do the inventory update. And then come back and kind of define like, what is that, maybe if there are timelines to add, like for Explore battery storage programs, when that might occur, so that we can give a better roadmap of when it's, we've got resources or capacity, or if we need to look at more capacity.
okay, yeah, I think definitely if this is like this is the high level for 2025 to 2030, we can work from there.
And or you had asked the question about that last bullet addressing the remaining 40%. I wonder if there's something about, like, once the emissions from the fleet and the building become like less than 40%, we shift our attention, or less than 20% of total emissions. Something like that. What do you think would be a good way to know when we should be looking at other things? Or is it maybe more when staff time is available?
I
Do you not worry about
I-
those?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not what it Great. You guys let us know when you're ready to work
I think
on
as long
other
as
things.
within the 5 years, then we've got a good, 5 years goes by very quickly.
Yeah, it does. All right. Motion? Okay, we have a first from Vice Chair Schmidt, a second?
Second.
All right. Commissioner Kissel with a second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, great. Do we need a 5-minute break? Okay. Let's come back in 5 minutes. Okay. All right, welcome back, everyone. We're on to item D3, which is reviewing and discussing participation in Peninsula Clean Energy's power purchase agreement project to install photovoltaic systems on various city buildings. I think we get to hear from Ori Paz again about this program. So Ori, take it away.
Ori will unmute himself in just a second.
Yeah.
After he uploads the.
Yes, mute disappears when you're trying to share a screen. So I appreciate the support. And thank you, members of the commission, members of the public. We hinted at this item during the last item, but yes, we're going to be giving an overview of the Peninsula Clean Energy Solar for Public Facilities program. And so without further ado, I will get started. So sorry, just 1 second. I'll move some things around on these windows. So tonight we'll do an overview of the Peninsula Clean Energy program, or PCE program. We'll take a look at the comparative economics that they have provided for us. We'll take a look at the city facilities that we were able to include in our application for participation. And then we'll talk about the program sequence, and we can have some discussion after that. So I also wanted to note that we do have Peter Levitt from Peninsula Clean Energy, who is the, I believe, program manager for this program, and he's been very helpful with us all the way from doing the initial overviews through helping us to work through our facilities to identify the ones that could be included, and then getting all of the applications in. So Peter is here to support if there are specific questions, and he can do a fact check on me, because I got most of this information from him. So I'll do my best, but we have the expert in the house to help us if we need. So at a high level, Peninsula Clean Energy is San Mateo County's nonprofit, locally led electricity provider. They're our CCA, or Community Choice Aggregator. They have a mission to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by expanding access to sustainable and affordable energy solutions. And so these programs are part of that mission. And this program in particular is a way to expand solar capacity for public buildings. And so it accelerates renewable energy at local government facilities, and then also helps to hedge some of the energy cost increases, and helps us to meet sustainability goals. This is the second cohort of this program, so they've already had success with a number of cities. I think it was 2 years ago, so important to do the fact check now. But the benefits of this program are that it's no upfront cost to the city, and then PCE is handling the majority of all of the burden on the design, procurement, installation, and importantly, maintenance over the term of the PPA. So we would be entering into a power purchase agreement, and PCE would own the systems that are on city buildings. And then for 20 years, we will be purchasing our electricity from Peninsula Clean Energy, and we'll have the opportunity to buy at a reduced rate what we're generating on our sites. And the other benefits of this is they have the volume, right? So if we're looking at the scale of San Mateo County versus one individual city, that aggregation of projects brings larger vendors to the table and brings down the costs. And the other nice thing about working with Peninsula Clean Energy is that they're, again, a nonprofit, and so transparent with our agency on financing details and advancing their mission. So this is one I added just to kind of simplify how it works. So I'm looking forward to Peter giving me the thumbs up or not quite on this one, but essentially Peninsula Clean Energy is going to install and own the solar systems that are on our city buildings or potentially some carports. All of the electricity, so like the exact electrons that we are generating on our sites, those are going to be sent to PCE customers through the grid. We are PCE customers, so we may be buying those, we may be buying others that they're generating from other projects. And then PCE would discount the electricity price based on the amount that that is produced on the city property. So we're not necessarily generating the electricity that we're going to be using, but we will be able to offset some of the costs based on what is produced on our sites. And that cost offset is going to be important. PCE is projecting a 4% annual electricity cost increase for energy charges. CPUC, or California Public Utility Commission, study that was released in 2019 projected escalation rates higher than that, or sorry, not higher than that, but at 3.7% between 2020 and 2030. And then there was a big announcement from PG&E in 2023 of an 18% rate increase and 5% annual increases through 2026. And so there's a number of different factors that could be leading to that rate of escalation, power capacity constraints, investment in grid infrastructure to support our vehicle and building electrification goals, and then also grid hardening and resilience related items. And so that's where it makes it advantageous to enter into a solar PPA because we would be locked in to either a set escalation rate or a set rate over the 20-year term, and that will that's hedging us against the energy rate increases. So diving into the city facilities, I think we submitted 14 facilities, but PCE has been very careful to make sure that they identify project-specific criteria that would lead to the greatest success when the vendors are actually brought on. And so we narrowed it down to 4 interconnection applications, so 4 systems that were submitted prior to the April NEM 2.0 deadline. So if we do go through and make it all the way, we would be locked into NEM 2.0, which has advantages to the city that would be reflected in our PPA rate. So these are the system sizes here. We were very excited to get the Belhaven Child Development Center in. It's the smallest system on there, but thought that it's important to electrify that building and then also help to offset the electricity costs there. So I went backwards. So here's an overview, and you'll notice there are slight edits here to the average electricity usage. So we were able to update that data, and we'll publish this updated presentation with the minutes. So slight change to the main library, average electricity usage, and then Burgess Aquatics as well. And so what you can see in the graph in dark blue is the average electricity usage, and then the lighter blue color is the estimated annual production from the planned systems. And so the majority of the electricity use could be covered by what the systems are generating. And so that means that for the majority of the electricity that we're purchasing, we're going to be purchasing it at that favorable PPA rate, which is good for keeping our operating costs lower. And we can get into the current status now. So again, I've mentioned a couple times because I was very, very excited about this, but the team at PCE was able to submit the preliminary interconnection applications ahead of the NEM 3.0 start date. So we are locked in to the NEM 2.0 rates. we have included budget for this fiscal year CIP to re-roof facilities to improve our rate, and we'll be working with whoever the provider is that is selected to try to make that work, and then update our interconnection application. We get one opportunity to change the design, and so we as the city are working to make sure that that we're able to, as much as possible, have new roofs, and then try to get these systems installed on those roofs, so then they can live together in harmony throughout the useful life of both the system and the roof. And so that's for the main library, City Hall, City Council chambers, and Bellhaven Child Development Center. I will note that we accelerated a couple of these roofs, but all of these roofs were slated to be replaced within 5 years anyway. So we're not bringing something that was going to be 10 years down the line, where we really have only accelerated it a little bit. And then the cost benefit there is quite great if we're able to take advantage of a better PPA rate for 20 years for our electricity. So PCE has not yet selected the vendor, but the PCE selected vendor will work to modify the preliminary designs to try to accommodate roof mounted systems. But again, that's all tentative, and so we'll be working through that with them over the next several months. And we're gonna, as a city, continue to consider carport systems if the roof mounted options are not possible. And so we have been working with our teams internally to identify that those plan B locations for carport systems for each of these facilities. So getting into the program sequence, we talked about submitting the application, or I guess we submitted an application to participate in this program in January. We've done site assessments with consultants from PCE. PCE submitted those interconnection applications. We made sure to include the work into our budget process earlier this year. We're now discussing the program with the Environmental Quality Commission, so that bolded item is tonight. Through November, we're going to be evaluating the general PPA terms with the city attorney and our technical consultants, Optini. And then in December, PCE will be selecting the vendor to design, build, and maintain the systems. We're going to work with them when selected to try to confirm the final design early next year. And then we would review and approve final pricing once the final design has been resolved. And then if all of that is approved, we'd be looking at construction of the re-roofs ahead of the construction of the systems, and that would be around the April of next year timeframe. And if all things go well, we would begin operation of these systems in 2025. I guess PCE would begin operations of these systems in 2025 because we wouldn't need to do very much with them at all except enjoy the reduced costs. So then we're looking to the commission to provide advice to the city council. We will be bringing an item to the city council as an overview of this program, and then we're still working out the final details of the process to evaluate and sign to enter into the PPA formally. But one possible route that the commission could advise is to advise the city council to participate in the program. And with that, I also have a map here of the different facilities and kind of the interacting areas. So if it is of interest, the ones that are red are the ones that we're looking at trying to do re-roofs so that we can move the systems that are it's like black rectangles with a yellow outline. Those are the ones those are the preliminary designs that were included in our interconnection applications. So the general idea from the city side of things is to try to move those carports onto roofs as much as possible because there's a better PPA rate for that. And with that, I can turn it back to the chair. If there's any clarifying questions, be happy to answer them.
Yeah, thanks for that overview. It's clear that you've been quite productive, Lori, this last year and beyond, I'm sure. So any clarifying questions from the commission? All right, Jeff.
Got a few, Ori, so today, the PG&E rates and the, PCE rates, do we buy any electricity from PG&E? Or are we really talking about the rate increases from, PCE that we expect? What are we locking in? Are we locking out PG&E by going exclusively with PCE, or do we not do any PG&E business at all in the city?
It's my understanding that we are currently buying all of our electricity from PCE at the ECO 100, 100% renewable rate structure. But I'll see, maybe I can let Peter know if Peter has raised his hand. So I'll see if we can maybe, or I'm not a host, but if the host, oh, perfect. Everybody's reading my mind. So I'll turn to Peter to maybe add some clarification there.
Hi, everybody. Is my audio coming in all right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Well, first of all, hello to the Menlo Park Environmental Quality Commission. You folks do tremendous work, and I applaud the level of engagement that I've seen here tonight. I also just wanted to start off and say Rebecca and Ori have been an absolute pleasure to work with. They ask a lot of really engaged questions. And it's been very quick to stand up for highly impactful solar projects with them over the last several months. So I just wanted to express gratitude off the bat. To answer the gentleman's question about the complex energy bill rate structure that's going on with Menlo Park and this solar project. Currently, Peninsula Clean Energy provides the energy generation for that Menlo Park purchases, and PG&E transmits and distributes that energy to the facility. And so it is a combination of Peninsula Clean Energy and PG&E that are providing the energy for those facilities. When these facilities get solar, a vast majority of the energy that is paid to Peninsula Clean Energy and PG&E goes way down. And then instead of paying that electricity bill, Menlo Park now pays Peninsula Clean Energy for the solar purchasing that or for the solar energy that is used on site. And I just wanted to offer one quick clarification to the framing of the program that was offered previously by Ori. And that is that the energy is used on site, so it is not shipped to other Peninsula Clean Energy customers. It is intended to really all behind the meter distributed solar is intended to locate the energy usage with the renewable energy supply. And that's exactly what's going on with these facilities. Another quick commentary, if I may, because I heard some interest in this aspect, is that energy prices are projected to increase over the next 5-10 years. There's a lot of stuff that PG&E needs to do to prepare for a renewable energy grid, and also to prepare for growth in electric vehicles and electric buildings. So electric rates are indeed expected to rise because of investment into the grid infrastructure over time. And this these solar projects can allow Menlo Park to hedge against those rising rates and keep their energy costs flat over a long period of time, instead of being subject to the pricing of both Peninsula Clean Energy and PG&E on the grid side. I'll pause there. I see we have a question.
Yeah, I have a question. So relative to residential home solar, where PG, especially under NEM2, the utility is buying the excess energy that the residential solar system is creating, and then the homeowner is buying it back when they need it, right? So I guess the question is, the biggest part of most folks' home energy bill, if they are solar, generating their own solar, is the distribution costs from PG&E. Right, in my case, it's like 2/3 of my bill is distribution costs. Does that distribution cost go away under this model where we only pay for whatever's distributed to Menlo Park facilities when we can't generate enough of our own?
Correct. Yes, it does.
It's
Transmission and
It's not, I mean, our rate for electricity is gonna stay relatively flat, but in addition to that, all the distribution costs go away.
18% that will really save.
So that's a big saving. So the initial slide where it said, you know, it's gonna go up 4%, it's actually gonna net go down because all those distribution costs that we're not gonna have to pay to PG&E.
correct. The facilities in general, energy prices are going to go up 4%, grid tied energy prices. And so that represents the opportunity to hedge against those rising rates. The solar project represents that opportunity.
Right, but I'm saying, but in addition to the electric generation costs, are we eliminating the distribution costs that PG&E charges us today?
If we don't-
Thanks, yeah.
I think we should let them answer.
Yeah, I think we still need to pay for the solar, like it's through the PPA rate to some degree, right? So they're.
That's correct. And to be clear, the 4% energy rate that I described is expected to apply to both the generation and the transmission and distribution portions of the bill. And so if no action was taken by the city, for instance, then you would be subject to generally speaking, an energy bill that goes up in cost at a rate of 4% year on year. And then the solar energy reduces both your generation, which is that 1/3 of the side of the bill, and the transmission distribution, which is 2/3 of the bill. You nailed that part. It reduces both of those, which you are subject to volumetric energy charging. So the solar reduces both sides of the bill.
Okay, quick question, Peter. So is this the same arrangement as in a traditional NEM2 setup behind the meter?
Yes, it is. Yeah, the analogy to a residential system was on point.
Yeah, so the sizing of the system compared to the current load that is generated on those sites, do you know what it is?
Yeah, he showed us the bar charts. It's almost equal.
Yeah.
Demand equals.
Does the production or the virtual or the expected one?
Sorry, can you clarify the question?
I mean, just building up on the question that the commissioner previously asked, we're going to the city will pay on transmission if we need energy from the grid, which sometimes will happen, but I mean, you're sizing it so that in most cases, we're not going to consume from the grid, but in some cases we will consume in the grid. And in those cases, we do have to pay transmission.
That's correct. You would pay volumetrically. So if you use a little bit of energy, you only pay a little bit. If the solar array ends up underperforming and really is not doing its job, you'll go back to paying for grid charges. And, there are various protections in place to compensate Menlo Park if underperformance like that happens. But there is that backup for the grid for this solar at these facilities.
Sorry, clarification here. So the PPA guarantees some production from the solar?
Yes, it does. Yeah, we will
Okay.
provide a performance guarantee.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great. I guess I just have a question. Are we still clarifying or are we in discussion? Are we clarifying? Okay, go clarify.
Couple more questions. So the 4 roofs, 2 questions are kind of conjoined. The 4 roofs represent what percentage of the city properties? Is it 50? Is it 70? Is it?
Maybe can I ask a clarifying question on your clarifying question?
No. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So are you asking what percentage of the total number of city facilities does that 4 roof represent, or what percentage of the city facilities that are participating in this program?
Yeah, it's probably more the latter. I'm trying to get a sense of, does this cover 90% of the city buildings thus would represent almost the total city bill versus this covers 10% of the city buildings, and we still have a big bill kind of in the uncovered buildings.
Okay, so for these 4 sites are, I would say, probably like in the area of like 60 to 80% of the total electricity usage. And then the 4 re-roofs are for all 4 of the facilities that are that were included in the interconnection application. So we are trying to re-roof all of the facilities that were included to try to get the best rate possible for the sites that were included in this program.
Which is the vast majority of the bill itself, I guess is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I
There's
think it's
not
important to
another-
note too that we
Yeah.
have solar on a lot of our other
Okay.
facilities, like the courtyard. You see a carport out here as well, and we did those in 2015, and that was part of like Alameda's group purchase. Where PCE is offering a flat rate over 20 years, and the PPA that we had with this group, it was still a very good rate. It escalates slightly, but it's lower than the PG&E escalation rate, so that we have some coverage. And I think the important thing to note too is, we're kind of constrained too, and it doesn't necessarily fully kind of account for electrification of all of our city facilities. So that's the other caveat to this as well, but it's a very good kickstart into kind of maintaining our operational cost as we electrify our city
So
facilities.
it's a good percentage. Okay, that's what I was kind of fishing for. And then a small question is, are school buildings considered city buildings, or are they separate? Are they
No,
school?
they're their own jurisdiction, yeah.
Thanks.
All right,
I have a quick
Yeah.
one. Thank you, Ori and Peter. The Burgess solar array, does it account for a transition to heat pump heating? No,
No, it has to be based on our current usage.
okay. Okay, and then, the new community center, does that already have solar going on it? Yes,
Mhm.
okay. And then the child development center, is that part of the library building or is that a separate building in Bellhaven?
It's a separate building. It's at 410 Ivy. I believe it's across the street, or like across the
Elementary school.
way, yeah,
Mhm.
from the Bellhaven branch library.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm puzzled on the Burgess, because when I got solar, I was able to say, I plan to electrify everything, therefore I'm gonna need this much. We couldn't do that with Burgess? No.
No, there are. You need to make an attestation at the time of submitting an interconnection application, which we did in April. An attestation that the specific appliance that you're looking to electrify will be electrified within 1 year. And we couldn't make that attestation at that time in April. And we're now locked into the interconnection application that we filed already due to the grandfathering rules.
Thank you.
all right.
Two more. Rebecca kind of prompted these. On what happens well, there are 2 questions about the time cycle. One is the idea of extending purchasing a system or replacing on the hardware. Is there going to be a depreciation on the hardware if there's a decision to purchase? And then the second question related is, what happens at the 20-year mark? Like, once there's that decision to extend, purchase, or replace, is there just a kind of, it's not a cost of living, is it what I'm trying to say, is there going to be a readjustment of the rates based on 20 years in the future and where we are? Is it kind of renegotiated at the 20-year mark on the rates? So one's a hardware question, one's a readjustment of the rates question.
I could go ahead and answer that, Ori and Rebecca, if you'd like. So the contract that we're going to provide Menlo Park is still being ironed out. We just circulated them a first copy. And while that hasn't been signed yet, the most likely proposed outcomes or set of options at the end of 20 years are: one, Peninsula Clean Energy will remove the system at no cost to the city. Two, the city will be able to purchase the equipment for what is determined by an independent assessor as the fair market value. And so any depreciation, wear and tear will be taken into consideration. Or three, the city will be able to extend the term of the PPA by a set number of years, likely 5 or 10 years, at the same rate that we sign today or, this year. So it's pretty flexible in that regard. And, we include pricing that acts as if we need to remove the system ourselves at our cost at the end of year 20. But, if the system is healthy in 20 years and we're all still here and me and Ori are getting gray hair, working on the PPA still, then it could be lucrative to the city to extend the PPA term at that time.
Happens faster than you think. Gets big.
Oh Lord.
I think I may have a clarifying question too. So my understanding of these PPAs is that the greatest risk is in locking in too high of a rate. So I was wondering what terms might be included in there to, like, if electricity rates don't increase at the rate that we're expecting, can we see some benefits?
Yeah, I know Ori, Rebecca, and I anticipated the discussion on this specifically, or clarifying this item specifically. If folks want me to jump in on this one too. Okay, so that's a real concern, and I think that the way that we conceptualize this, first of all, as Ori mentioned at the top of this item, Peninsula Clean Energy is a not-for-profit, and so we are really just looking to make economically sound decisions for our customers through this program. And so there's really no sales pitch here. And Menlo Park can walk away at any time if you folks are not really thinking this is an economic decision. But based off of what we know, it most likely will be. And that's that we've determined that based off of the fact that energy prices have always historically risen. And just this year, they've gone up about 20% across all of PG&E's rates. PG&E has gone on record in 2022, indicating that its rates will rise at least 5% a year through 2026 and likely beyond then. And the CPUC has corroborated that, indicating that they're likely going to permit PG&E to afford those rate increases through 2026 and beyond. And then conceptually speaking, like I said, there's just going to be a lot of investment in the grid over the next 2 decades. There's a renewable energy build out that will need to be accommodated by battery storage. There's a lot of undergrounding of wires that PG&E is trying to pass through their rate cases through to the CPUC, which will result in significant rate increases to all ratepayers. And for that reason, we're the rate that we excuse me, hope to offer Menlo Park will be close to parity with what, or at parity with what you're paying today, and it will stay flat. And so we feel pretty confident that it's going to be an economically feasible decision, pretty obvious economically viable decision. I hope that answers. I hope that's helpful context.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
One more small question just to see if I'm getting the math right. Generation 4%, transmission distribution 4%. Does that equal 8%, or is the 4% of flat? It's 4%.
4% of the whole bill.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I think it's time for public comment. If we have any members of the public.
Yes, so at this time, if there are any members of the public who would like to make comment on the City of Menlo Park participating in Peninsula Clean Energy's photovoltaic power purchase agreement, please use the raised hand feature that is at the bottom of the screen or next to your name, and I'll be able to unmute your microphone and you'll be able to address the commission for up to 3 minutes. I don't see any hands raised at this time. I'm gonna turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you. All right, so we can open it up for discussion now. Yeah. Why don't we plan to hear from each commissioner and then we'll open it up so we can kind of go around the table?
Yeah, it's probably a little obvious, simple question, but, and it's probably complicated because of NEM 2.0 and net billing tariff, but did the city evaluate what it would cost to just do it themselves and compare that to what PCE is offering?
I think Ori has been really doing his management analyst activities, and there was a lot of conversation about what would it look like if the city did it on its own. It's I think there's kind of the balance of the upfront capital that it would cost. Like, do we fully purchase the system? As I don't know, so but for the Menlo Park Community campus, that project, which included EV charging, but I'd say the robust cost for the solar and the microgrid was about 5.2 million. So it's a big price tag, kind of upfront. So, we'd probably be looking at another kind of PPA. And even under those circumstances, there's usually an escalation rate. So it's kind of like we're weighing the kind of the trade-offs there. Whereas this flat rate is as Peter said, it is a really good deal. I mean, because we know it's not going to increase for 20 years. We're able to budget. And so, yeah, I think, that's kind of why we're coming to the commission too, to kind of sort that out. But that's kind of how we approach it. Or if you want to add anything as well, I think that was kind of the ultimate kind of struggle in figuring out, is this, the best path forward?
When we have to maintain it too, if we felt that.
Right, but if we enter into a
That's a great
PPA too, they would maintain it for us, but they would include that in their escalation year over year. So we wouldn't get as much probably savings as we would going with PCE. Do you want to add anything,
Thank you.
Lori?
Yes, I think that that was all great and reflected our conversations. The only other piece of it is the staff capacity piece, which I think we have heard a lot about, but as we're looking at the limited staff capacity that we have in our engineering division and some of these other objectives that we have around developing capital improvement projects and moving those through, that's another thing that we need to weigh and consider, because if we do decide that we want to do it on our own, then that means that's staff time and then consultant time developing these highly technical RFPs and evaluating all the vendors and then going through procurement and managing a construction process. And I think we've learned a lot from the MPCC project. And so as we're looking like that's definitely something that we are considering, because there's only so much time. And if we're looking at really trying to make meaningful progress on the facility electrification master plan and some of the other things that we talked about during the CAP 5 presentation, we would be looking at maybe having to make some harder choices on some of those things if we decided that we wanted to try to squeeze the most return from a solar system that we build and own ourselves.
I would add to that, we're getting a lot of incentives too. So the 5.2 million is not necessarily the entire amount, but I think to Ori's point, that's what the biggest constraint is. Even when we did this with our previous PPA, we went along with Alameda County. They were driving the bus, we were passengers, and kind of moving through the process while they were doing a lot of the legal legwork, vetting the vendors, writing the RFP, doing the site assessments for everybody, which made it smooth for us on our end. I don't think the city would have been able to do it without additional help.
All right, shall we just kind of go around the room?
Did you?
Well, I just had just a follow-up question. Was there a total cost of ownership number for each alternative? that you can share with us? I know there's staff considerations and other considerations, but
And we didn't dive down that deep. I mean, again, knowing what we know about PPAs and the upfront costs just based on our prior experience. But Ori, do you have any?
Yeah, I'll also add that we don't yet have the total cost for the PCE side of things yet, so we a lot of the information that would be necessary to do that analysis completely is not not available yet, but that will be something that, you know, we're looking at as we get the final pricing and the final details and iron out whether or not we're going to be able to make the roof system work versus the carports. And so there's still a number of items in flux, but we have kind of like the general considerations of what we're going to need to evaluate.
thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Kissel?
So I don't have any questions, but I want to thank PCE for developing this program and offering it. To get this kind of solution from a nonprofit in our county is amazing. So thank you for that. And then for city staff for having the foresight to get us into the NEM 2.0 program before the deadline was huge. I'm sure there are other cities that didn't move fast enough or anticipate. And so bringing this option to the table, regardless of how we decide, is a real testament to your leadership. So thank you.
Well said. Commissioner Schmidt?
Yeah, I'll echo that, and I am curious about, I was also gonna echo the total cost of ownership that Commissioner McKenna put forward, because I think that number is gonna end up being a pretty big number. One of those eye-popping city council numbers that they'll understand if you want it according to the total savings. The question, I guess, I wanted to make sure I had straight in my head was on the rate side, the blended model of PCE and PG&E today. If we're looking at future increases on the generation side, it's 4% for PCE, 18% for PG&E. If we move to the PCE only model, it's a 4%. These are just rough numbers. So are we calculating in the delta we're saving that 14% we're saving by not using PG&E?
I think it would be helpful if I answered this question, and I might, why don't I just convey the project economics in broad terms, broad and specific terms real quick. I think that'll be the best way to get on the same page. So over the next 10, 20 years, more or less, Menlo Park can expect both sides of its energy bill, its total energy bill, to rise at approximately a rate of 3 or 4% per year. Some folks would think that that's actually a conservative estimate and that it might be higher than that. And so that is, not looking at the transmission and distribution and the generation elements, the whole bill will go up at a rate about 4% annually. And the solar rate, so let's say Menlo Park is paying 20 cents a year right now. In year 2, it'll go up to 21. Year after that, 22 or 23. PCE's solar rate that we will offer to the city will allow them to get solar on these facilities at no upfront costs. So hopefully there won't be any big eyes from the city council when we take this to them for approval eventually. And instead they'll just be looking at long-term energy economics. And the rate that we would offer the city is, and we've offered them an indicative ballpark of this already, would be about the same as what they're paying right now. Their total energy bill currently would be reduced significantly. It would be replaced by a bill for solar that is about the same rate that they're paying right now, but that rate would stay the same over the 20-year period. And so you would avoid that 4%, 3 or 4% rate of escalation that you would expect if not for the solar.
And
Does
I,
that-
and, but
yeah, good.
that does, but I want to carry forward because I think this is the part we're forgetting. We're also dodging the bullet of the potential PG&E increase to 18%. So it's
Yeah.
not only what you said, Peter, but that I'm trying to quantify that bullet we just dodged by not sticking with PG&E, which is going to be a pretty big number.
That the 3 to 4% rate of escalation, like I said, some think that it's conservative. And what I'm trying to convey is that it might be as high as 18 or 20 some years. That is what we're seeing this year. That doesn't mean, it might drop 2% next year, for instance. But overall, we expect that it will go up about 3 or 4%, and it could be significantly higher up to that 18% mark. So like
But oh, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
The 18% that I described affects the 2/3 of Menlo Park's bill. So and if you were bundled with PG&E fully instead of having Peninsula Clean Energy Generation Service, that side would go up 18% as well. Approximately. This is just based off of all of their customer classes rates. But the 4% and the 18% are basically one and the same in that if PG&E raises their rates by 18% again next year and Menlo Park signs this solar PPA, then you are avoiding that increased rate, that increase 18%.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's what I was trying to get to is by going with this, we're kind of dodging a potential bullet of PG&E rates going up a huge amount, which they're already starting to declare. So
yes.
So we're not necessarily quantifying the savings that we're pretty sure we're gonna have in dodging that bullet, which is a significant amount.
The savings estimate that we will eventually provide Menlo Park once we have final pricing out of this RFP and present power purchase agreement numbers will potentially be highly conservative.
Right.
And that's fine. As far as risk management, that's the way we should be looking at things from an economic standpoint. So
Thanks.
Great.
Yeah.
Commissioner Lynn, do you have anything to add?
Don't have anything that.
All right. Commissioner, I'll agree your part.
Yeah, just quick question here. So as storage continues to lower in prices, does PCE have a proposal or an idea about whether it would make sense for you or us to add storage to these facilities, and what implications would that have?
yeah, we'll have, I would say, a better sense of energy storage pricing coming out of this RFP in about a month and a half-ish. And it's not exactly a misnomer that battery storage prices are coming down, but they already have seen a pretty good decrease on their cost curve. So they already are, now they're not plateauing in cost, but they've dropped in cost pretty significantly. And when we go to evaluate after the solar arrays have come online and we go to evaluate adding battery storage at these facilities for energy savings and resiliency, we'll look at an all-encompassing value evaluation of the battery storage economics, including what can they do for PCE? Can we bake that into a lower price for Menlo Park? What can they do for Menlo Park as far as bill management? And then what is the energy resiliency value? So it'll be a complicated economic equation when we go to look at the batteries. They might drop a little bit in cost between now and 2025, 2026. But overall, the drop in cost I don't think is going to be highly material. I think what we have on the table right now will likely be the prices that we'll run with in the future too, or we'll see in the future too.
But the current setup does not include any storage, correct?
What did you ask?
The current proposal on the table does not include storage.
Correct.
If we were to consider adding a storage, would that be a decision done by PCE, or is something that would be a new contract to be discussed and then to consider the pros and the cons?
It would be a new contract or a material a substantive contract addendum or amendment.
That's it. I think it's a great idea, and kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the
yeah.
support.
All right, is there a motion?
I had another
Okay, is there a question?
This is in fault of Eduardo's question about, or Commissioner Yopart's question. Is the city required to purchase a certain amount of electricity from PCE? Like, if we do, the city does install batteries, and therefore we can store a lot more, although I guess maybe that doesn't reduce the number. I guess the question is there a requirement to purchase a certain amount of electricity?
Yes, there is. There will be a requirement for the city to purchase the amount of energy produced by the solar array monthly. And so that will be an obligation that the city is locked into in the long run.
Okay,
Okay,
I think I answered my other questions.
all right, so it's good that it's sized according to the current energy needs. And we'll likely
Exactly.
have higher energy needs because we're going to be electrifying. So we'll be committed to buying probably less than what we need, which is good.
Exactly.
Okay. Awesome. Well, this seems like a good thing to do. So, do we support this?
I move that we recommend to city council to move forward.
Excellent. Thank you. Is there
I
a second?
second it.
Okay, we have a first from Commissioner Kissel and a second from Commissioner Pellegrini Yopart. Rebecca, would you?
Yes,
help us
all
with the
those in
vote?
favor? Okay, passes with everyone present.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, everybody. This is very exciting.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry.
I'm imagining people wanting to go to bed now. So good night, people who are, all right, so we're on to agenda item D4, which is essentially going back to the discussion last month where we looked at CAP strategy number 1. And we wanted to get some feedback from Commissioners Pellegrini Yopart and Commissioner Lynn. So thank you for bringing up the notes. So just as a reminder for everyone, these were the brainstorm that we had with the people that were here. And then we all had 5 votes to add to this. So I think the opportunity tonight is to hear, are there any new ideas from our commissioners that were missing last week but are present today? And then how would you like to allocate your 5 votes? And I think.
Sorry, I missed the last meeting, but.
Let me pause it for a
Yeah, yeah,
second,
yes.
because I feel like I'm missing our thing. So that's me introducing it. We don't have any other, I want to take public comment unless there's
Yeah.
any clarifying questions. Okay, let's do public comment and then we'll go to the ideas.
Thank you. Yes, good. So is there any members of the public who would like to make public comment on the brainstorming session for climate action plan strategy number 1, which is to electrify existing buildings? Please use the raised hand feature at the bottom of your screen or next to your name, and I'll be able to unmute your microphone and you'll be able to speak to the commission for up to 3 minutes on this agenda item. I don't see any hands raised at this time.
All right.
Continue them.
Okay, so we can go to discussion. So back to you.
Cool.
Yes.
So I had one brainstorming idea which may not apply or whatever, so I'll mention that one, and then I actually had some votes allocated for the other ideas, but the one brainstorming idea was about improving energy efficiency of the buildings. Because I think that the ones that I saw were all about different ways of addressing the cost of the energy. But looking at my own house in general, I think that the first thing that one should do with a building is improve the efficiency of the building. So if I were to add a brainstorming idea, it would be probably along the lines of provide funds and support for energy efficiency of the buildings, and maybe tie that support to some electrification. So for example, will provide additional funds for additional insulation on the household, in the houses and the people living there or landlord or whoever has to electrify some portion. So that would be the brainstorming idea. I don't know where that applies to this particular,
Would you
Yeah.
vote for that idea?
sorry?
Would you place a vote or a certain amount of votes to that idea? I'm just trying to figure out what to
I
put
would
in.
be happy to put all my votes on that if that makes sense.
Okay.
But if that doesn't, if you don't want to add that one,
No, I can't.
have
I
my
can add
vote
it.
for something
mean,
else.
No, I can add it, yeah.
We, there was no, we were brainstorming last time and then we voted, so there was no like editing before. So thank you for sharing your idea, and Rebecca, thank you for capturing it.
Oh, I didn't capture it yet.
Oh,
Can you tell me what it was?
Improve efficiency of buildings, allocate money to improve efficiency of buildings.
Yeah, some sort of that encourages people to actually improve the efficiency, right? Because it's going to help with both heating and cooling and electrification. It's the first thing that anybody should do on their own properties.
Okay, so allocate funding to improve building efficiency to support. Yeah, I think you can just probably end after efficiency, but it sounded like allocate funding and or support.
Sure.
Okay, because it might be
Yeah.
connecting them with other resources.
Yeah.
All right, that seems like a great thing.
So I get what, how many
You
votes?
get 5.
5? Oh, I guess I can give 2 to number 1 and then the other 3 to mine.
Yes, you can.
So number 1 was the reconsider the burnout regulation,
Okay.
and then 3 there.
Great.
I'll be selfish and vote for myself.
All right, Commissioner Lynn, any ideas or votes?
No new ideas. I just wanted to allocate all my votes to the to number 2, actually, the commercial buildings, because I just think it's big opportunity size.
Okay, +5. We've got 2 with 9 votes.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Great. Thank you for doing that.
I'm here for you with my math
Yes.
skills. All right. I think we're done with this agenda item.
Cool.
Can we be? Okay, rock on. Excellent. Thank you all for being so.
Oh, I think we do need to make a motion now.
Oh, okay.
Or no, we don't. We're just, this is the brainstorming because we didn't do that last time. Right?
Yeah,
Okay, great. Just did a public meeting. Thank you.
yeah. I'm just glad we have everybody's votes now.
Good.
Okay.
But quick question though is what happens next with?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So the building decarb subcommittee and staff will kind of be meeting and going through these and figuring out like, what does this look, because there's a lot of ideas for 2020, 2025, 2030. And kind of working through that to bring back a final proposal.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. We're now on to E, reports and announcements. So let's see. So as the chair, I want to let you all know that next Tuesday, I'll be doing the EQC update to City Council. I'm only including information about what's happened in this EQC forum. And I know all of us, most of us are very involved in things outside of what we do officially as EQC members. So the big question I have, and I think we have for City Council, is what input do they have for us to consider as we review and update our, look at the agenda calendar and update our plan. So if there's information you want them to have about things you've been doing beyond this forum, please email them before Tuesday. And maybe do the City Council email log so that we can all see it. So it's part of the public record. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then maybe we could go to staff updates, and in particular, Rebecca, what would we do without you? Who did we go to for what? And anything else you want to celebrate or give us
Yeah.
updates on?
Yeah, so it's my last week.
Day, almost.
Day almost, yes. And so Ori is going to be kind of the point person for the staff liaison, and Liz is going to be more of like the clerk, coming to the meetings. And then Stephen will be kind of the other main, like the interim manager at this point. They are looking to recruit for the position pretty quickly, so I think just stay tuned for that, and maybe Ori and Liz can let you know once the recruitment is posted as well. But yeah, I think you're going to be left in very good hands here. What do I have to update? So the 4.5 million, we did receive direction from city council. It was a little bit after midnight, so that was good. They did get through it, so I was really happy about that. And essentially where we landed, so they're gonna move forward with a partnership with Peninsula Clean Energy to administer, be the program administrator of the funds. They currently have an RFP because they're expanding a lot of their programs, direct install, expanding the home upgrade program. And so part of it too, from our last meeting is, so PC has some funds to do whole home electrification. So what we've done is kind of piece out like about 40 homes under the PCE funding. So that's going to be kind of reserved or for low-income homeowners outside of the Bellhaven neighborhood that can use those funds. So that'll always kind of be there for the city. And then the 2.15 million will go to Bellhaven, targeting that neighborhood first. And it's going to be homeowners, single family homes at this point. They did talk a little bit about rental units that are single family, but they weren't quite there yet. And so just wanted to see how far we can get with single family homeowners. There was because one of the things that we were struggling with is it's such a small geographic area, the Bellhaven neighborhood, and kind of looking at the most recent census data too about where average incomes are. And being able to expend all those funds in 2 years is going to be challenging. I say 2 years because, there's going to be the ramp up time to the program, PC getting their vendors on board. So likely this program is really going to kickstart running, by June. And so that really only leaves us 2 years. And so we looked at increasing the AMI up to 120%. So under PC's home upgrade program, it's at 80. So just to give you some perspective, like at 80% for a family of 4, you have to make $149,000 and some change or below to qualify for the home upgrade program. But at 120% for a family of 4, it's about, I want to say 210,000 or around that number. And the reason why we looked at the 120% AMI is it's very similar to how people qualify for the below market rate homes in Menlo Park. So there's still some level of, it's aligning with some of our other affordability programs. So the council ultimately wanted to really focus in on the 80% AMI, the 149 for a family of 4, and then, continue on a list for up to 120 in case we can't get participation. So we're working with PC on that front as well. And then there was a general, because of the paperwork involved for folks that are 65 and over, could just automatically qualify in the Bellhaven neighborhood if they're the homeowner. That they would be able to receive electric retrofits. So it was a good direction. So right now, Stephen will be working with PCE staff on getting an agreement together and returning back to council in early 2024 to get the final stamp of approval and signatures to move forward and getting the funds.
So you mentioned 2.25, where's the other?
Yes. I know, that's what I just remembered. I'm like, so there was 100,000 that the EQC, the EQC didn't necessarily recommend a certain dollar amount, but we looked at $100,000 for workforce development. That was one of the EQC's recommendations. The council kind of heard through a couple of other sources that maybe there might be other seed funding for workforce development. So they kind of paused it and it wasn't as great as a priority. There was looking at maybe potentially using some of the money for outreach to get participation up in the Bellhaven neighborhood so that we can spend the money pretty quickly. So that's where that $100,000 is. Did I do my math right?
4.5.
Oh, yes. So we only got the first half of the money right now, and then we have to submit a progress report, and then
Then we get.
the California Energy Commission.
The reason for the pressure to get the homes electrified so that we can
Yes.
spend it
Get
and
the
get the rest,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. So exciting.
The first half, the whole 4.5 has to be used by June of 2026.
Right.
It's just the first piece.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so I think there's a lot of work to do around outreach. Will you let us know when you need our help on that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, any other updates?
Aside from.
Before we updated you.
Yeah. always. Sorry, lost my train of thought. Working on Zelly and working with Actera on, the incentive program and getting that going and running up the contract. So working on that, and then also, the adaptation or cap number 6, working on that. And then also I saw some of you at the climate summit on Wednesday, and that was really great. So getting my feet wet with that, so. that's what I'm working on.
Awesome. And then we were hoping to hear from each of our subcommittees, and then we can open it up if there's other updates that y'all have as individuals. So I think we have our 3 subcommittees, the building decarb, the EV group, and the adaptation. So if you'd like to go.
Hey, Ori.
Oh, so Ori, do you have a staff update other than what you shared the first 2 hours?
Yes, yeah, that was just like a small update. But other things is I've moved into supporting Cap 1 in a couple areas. So just quick update on the zoning ordinance amendments to facilitate electrification. So that is going to go to the city council next week on the 24th of October. So stay tuned for that. And then there will be a second city council meeting after that, date to be determined. Also supporting some of the permit streamlining efforts. So putting back on that hat for Cap 1. And so we've kicked off with a group of internal stakeholders, and we'll be working through some items related to that. Cap 5, I think we have exhausted Cap 5, even though we're supposed to be looking at 2025 to 2030. I think we covered a lot of what has been going on more immediately, but yeah, making progress on our EV charging plans and the rest of that. So I'll keep mine brief.
Thanks, Ori. All right,
I can go first.
okay.
Ori, thank you. You updated my first 2 items. So the building electrification ad hoc subcommittee has basically 6 items. Explore zoning updates, which Ori just updated. Permits streamlining, which Ori just updated. And then in terms of flexibility and leniency programs for underserved residents during electrification permit inspections, I believe staff is discussing ways to address this with the building department. And then number 4 is looking at reach codes or other policies to require electrification at replacement in existing buildings. So, you know, the city already has a reach code for new buildings, but we're trying to find out if we can take it further with existing buildings. So we were doing research on that. I did listen to a webinar today about that, and I just spoke with someone before this meeting. There's a report on how cities can address existing buildings, which I'm going to study, and that report is being updated in a couple weeks. So we'll have more information on that. And again, our final presentation to EQC will be in December. So that's just where we are on that. I've done some research on all electric lab buildings, talking with architects and contractors and developers. So we're gathering information on that. And then in regards to our last item of tenant protections, Angela Evans, Commissioner Evans, did a tremendous amount of research on this subject and put together a great set of resources for which she's presented to staff. In particular, there's an organization called SAGE, Strategic Actions for a Just Economy, and they've created a great report about decarbonizing California equitably. So that was one of the great resources that Commissioner Evans provided. So that's all I think.
Thank you. All right. Adaptation, EVs.
I can dive a little deeper on our meeting with Liz and Rebecca, if that works for you guys. Yeah. Just recapping some of the notes. On adaptation, I think the big thing was getting the city connected with some of the work going on in CRC, because they already have an EPA grant to do some similar things. So there was a good call on October 5th, where Kate from CRC was there, Rebecca, Liz, and I was there sort of note-taking and caretaking a little bit. But it was an opportunity to see if this work would join up, particularly around vulnerability assessments that CRC is already doing for EPA. So the thinking is that data could feed into the city process, which was good. That seemed to be really well accepted and a nice alignment of the work. And then Kate is also aligning leaders from Bellhaven Action, Bellhaven Empower, the Bellhaven centered groups that'll help with a lot of advocacy there. So that was also really positive. Beyond that, there'll be a visioning around the assets and the liabilities in Bellhaven. And then there'll be things like project plans and specific community needs that'll come out of that. So I think one big takeaway is it covers off the community where a lot of the adaptation needs to take place, and it aligns the work of the city and CRC. The next steps really were around, and then Liz shared that the city's getting going and they're working through hazard mitigation plans and things like that. So that really seemed to line up on both sides. The actions that'll happen next is Liz will be joining potentially some of those information gathering meetings, so that there's a kind of a regular gathering point. Kate shared that Arcadis is I don't know if he's actually shared it, but it's a really great data gathering vendor. And so making that accessible to the city as a sort of a way to strengthen that partnership. And then the third action was really setting up a recurring meeting to touch base between the CRC, the city team, and then the EQC, kind of just making sure everybody stays on the same page. And then before I joined, these guys had done some additional work, which I think will layer into that, but we kind of agreed that getting that connection between the city and CRC was a great momentum builder, and then we can layer some stuff in. So,
Yeah, kudos to you for driving that one. Thank you.
well, I mean, it was just schedules. It wasn't.
Well, that's a big part of it.
Yeah,
Is that-
thank you.
I mean, Liz and Rebecca, does that sound like a good?
When are we expecting to get a report from the adaptation subcommittee? I can't remember if it was January.
January from, right, yeah.
We can do a report, and then the data is not gonna align until I think it's July. We need to look and see when the EPA data is gonna be able to be fed into the city plans, which will be early next year, I think. Early to mid next year.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everything is happening.
Yeah, I
in
think for the
time for that
January
update.
meeting, it's more of like a foundational, like
Right.
part one
Okay,
conversation, similar to
Okay.
count.
like what we've been doing here.
Yeah, because that's the one area, it's the whole reason why we have another management analyst hired is to look at this. And so it's been an exercise to kind of go through all of our plans, and then I think what we're gonna try to do is figure out like what might be missing.
Yeah.
From like all of the existing groundwork. And then again, how does that build into the 2020, 2025, 2030? Like, what do we do from there? So it's gonna be it's gonna be like a high level outcome, but it's gonna be a deep kind of like, okay, where do we stand with all of this?
Excellent.
And we might want to think about, maybe we can reconnect offline with you, Liz, to think about, would it be helpful to kind of think about a joint project plan with CRC? Because they already have a project plan based on their EPA grant, but then would a joined up project plan make sense? Or, are there a couple of outputs we could help engineer to make sure these things really do flow together? So that's what we can talk about.
Yeah, excellent. Cool. EV, any update from the EV subcommittee?
Yeah, it's been a while now. We had a call with Philip Kovanek from PCE to get some following advice from them. I'll just distill it down in interest of time. He said, don't worry about single family homes. Don't worry about DC fast charging. Don't worry about condos. Focus on apartments. Take advantage of dollars and technical assistance from PCE. Focus on level 1, level 2 charging as opposed to DC fast charging. Look for opportunities to outreach through organizations that are already connected to apartments like CoStar. So CoStar is firm that provides software to help manage multifamily homes and apartments. And then gear up for the next code cycle, which happens in 2025. To help drive the requirement to put in EV charging at public facilities and in apartment buildings.
Great. Sounds like a very productive phone call.
Well, the only other thing that I think we haven't talked about yet, but tell me if you think this makes sense, is we were looking at a series, or we were researching vendors and grants. And where I ended up after that call was, we might already have a partner with PCE, because I thought it ended up being for apartments, it ended up being cost zero.
Yeah,
No, it wasn't cost, well.
like level one, maybe. Yeah.
So what they did say is for L1, L2, it's only $300 to $400 per space after rebates. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot more affordable than you might have thought.
So I think, I mean, we need to talk about this, but I think our conversation might be, instead of pursuing 25 grants and trying to cobble together the money, if they've got a robust enough program, they've narrowed it down, the money's available, it becomes maybe more an outreach and a education piece, making sure that the numbers add up.
I think it's similar to the feedback that the EQC provide, like as kind of, how do we go about EV charging? I have to look back at it, but I think it was more like get more engaged with the property owners and kind of navigating the process.
Yeah, and I think Brian found it was like just what we just talked about. There's the magic program, like, let's really understand the economics of it. And if it all adds up, then this feels like the program we go forward on.
Yeah.
As we come to December, that's when
Yeah, sounds great. Any other updates beyond the commission work that y'all want to share with everyone?
Got two really quick ones. Urban Forest Master Plan in Bellhaven. We're trying to get the work stream leads together, so I would assume we'll get Jillian and Joanna looped into that, but there was a grant, thank you, Rebecca, very much. There was a grant that was signed by the city to help with the actual tree plantings themselves. I think we're gonna come to the EQC maybe a couple of work stream meetings in, so let's call it December-ish. We'll come into the EQC and give you a sense of what that looks like, just so you have it and understand it and know it. Even though we don't have a trees subcommittee or a trees part of the cap plan, it's a really important piece of work.
Listed in other things.
Yes, exactly. So hopefully it's a little tricky because there's about 6 different organizations we're trying to coordinate across, and they all are motivated, but it's 6 different organizations. So stay tuned on that, but there's a grant that Canopy hopefully will win, and it'll get some trees in the ground in Bellhaven in parallel to the plan coming together. And then the second one that Nancy and I are working on is the Menlo Park City School District is interested in doing a climate action plan. So we're talking to the superintendent of the school district on the 25th. We're looking at youth activation as part of that. And I know that the city and the school are, I don't know what to call them, partners in the space, but not necessarily, there's not a lot of overlap, but I think the superintendent is looking for what we're learning in our CAP process and being able to apply that to the district. And then Ravenswood, but they tell me Ravenswood also is doing something similar, so we may be able to play a nice advisory role to the school districts in the city. So
Yeah, excellent, good. I don't want to volunteer Ori, but I think he's pretty knowledgeable on facilities.
that'd be great. We're drafting you because it's all going to turn into facilities and fleet electrification of school buses and.
I think
Or
he's
you
gonna be
give
bored
it
soon
maybe like
once
a
everything is done.
presentation or something that kind of just outlines like our.
Yeah, well, and apparently there's a lot of money flowing down for school initiatives in this,
Good.
school bus electrification and building electrification for schools and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned. We'll bring that one to the EGC as well.
I want to say like schools are included in our inventory, at least our community inventory.
That'd be great.
They're not separated out. It's just that we don't, like, they don't, for example, like our codes and things like that don't necessarily like apply.
Yeah,
Like
it's
some of the
like
building
you don't have
codes.
jurisdiction, that's the wrong
Yeah.
word, but you don't,
They're like a state,
Yeah.
agent, similar to like a university.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that's why Kristen reached out, is I think they're interested in learning.
Yeah.
The trigger was, I said in a meeting with her that, hey, we're updating the cat plan, and she's, oh my gosh, we need help doing our cat plan, so. We're good.
Yes, it'll be good for the planet, for the community.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, well, I think we've come to a conclusion here, 8:57. Adjourn the meeting. Good work, everyone. Thank you all for your commitment. Have a good evening and a good month.
Here.